We're about to break down the latest NFL playoff picture, and if you want more playoff picture updates, help us out by sharing today's video. There's not going to be a YouTube push for most of you guys because we did so many videos yesterday on college football, so we need your help. Share this video on social media, Facebook, Twitter, text it to a friend, whatever. Help us out by sharing today's video right now. You're watching NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey here once again, bright and early on a Tuesday morning with the playoff picture. We're going to go AFC and NFC. We're going to begin with a brief overview of where things sit in the AFC since, nothing changed last night since that was an NFC matchup on Monday Night Football. The Bills are your new current, for now potentially, number one seed. They've got the tiebreaker advantage over the Chiefs, a one-game lead over the Ravens, who have the tiebreaker over the Bengals, by the way. The Dolphins are a game back of the Bills. They have some tiebreaker stuff, too, in their favor in the AFC. The Jets are hanging around still in the mix, along with the Patriots and Chargers, and the Titans are going to coast again to a division crown. In the NFC, well, the Eagles have the tiebreaker and the one-game lead over the Vikings. They're the number one seed right now. We'll get more in depth on the Eagles in a minute. The Niners at 8-4. They've got a decent-ish lead over the Seahawks, only a game, but there's some tiebreaker stuff more in their favor. And the Bucs have extended their lead in the division. More on the wild card stuff and the other teams in the mix / not in the mix. But we begin with the Philadelphia Eagles. They took down the Titans in impressive fashion in Week 13. Now they play the Giants in Week 14. And we are in Clinching Scenario season, one of my favorite times of the year, because next week it's going to get really complicated on that front, and I love it. They clinch a playoffs with a win or losses by both the Seahawks and the 49ers. Just take care of business against the Giants, and the Eagles will secure at least the wild card spot in the NFC. The Vikings at 10-2, coming off a, as they always do, narrow win over the Jets. They've got the Lions in Week 14. More on that in a moment here. They clinched the NFC North with a win or a tie against the Detroit Lions. They are in that scenario. However, in a bit of a shocker, on the road, the 10-2 Vikings against a sub-500 Lions team are the underdogs, which is not something you see very often, but Vegas has the Lions favored in this one. So who you got? V for the Vikings, L for the Detroit Lions. Make those predictions for me in the comment section right now. Let's get to the Niners, who have gotten hot. They've won a bunch of games in a row. They take down the Miami Dolphins, but they lose Jimmy Garoppolo to what was initially called a season-ending foot injury, ankle injury, and now Shanahan's not as sure. Either way, it's going to be Brock Purdy for at least the foreseeable future. That does, I think, negatively impact the Niners, but that ground game and run defense defense overall is still one that can make a lot of noise. Who do you think is the most dangerous team in NFC? Not necessarily the best, but who do you really not want to play come playoff time? Is it the Eagles, the Vikings, the Niners? Maybe it's Tom Brady. Maybe it's the Cowboys. Sound off in the comments section at the pinned comments of today's video. The ad break comes here on YouTube. You know the drill. Head down there and drop that team name. The Bucs are number 4. Bad man did it again against the Saints, who he actually hasn't had the most success against since he came to Tampa, but they win 17-16. I'll be honest, the Saints choked that game away. They now have a big game against the Niners with massive seeding implications. Niners take down Tampa, and we can almost, barring some Vikings collapse down the stretch here, pencil in San Francisco as the 3 seed and the Bucs as at least the 4 seed there. The wild card race now. Let's check in on where things sit here. The Cowboys are 9-3. They've got a decent-ish lead over the other wild card contenders. The Giants, number 6. Seattle, number 7. Let's focus in here on those 3 squads. The Cowboys are 5-1 since Dak Prescott returned in what I would argue was probably one of his lesser performances so far this year. 54-19 win over the Colts. They still had 54 points. It's kind of insane, right? The Texans, meanwhile, so they get this week, that should be a fairly easy win as the Cowboys are on a bit of a lighter portion of their schedule until they get the Eagles-Titans later on this season. Do you know how much your subscriptions really cost? Most Americans think they spend about $80 a month in various subscriptions, but the actual total cost is closer to 200 plus. That's right. You could be wasting hundreds of dollars each month on subscriptions you don't even know about. There's this app I love using that takes care of that for me to make sure I'm not paying stuff I don't want to be paying anymore. It's called Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill. The app shows all your subscriptions in one place and then cancels for you whatever you don't want. Rocket Money can even find what you didn't know you're paying for, or even ones you might have been double charged for. To cancel a subscription, all you have to do is just press cancel, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Unlike, you got to deal with the phone call. You got to call it in. They'll be like, hey, we're going to do, what about this? What about this? It takes you a half hour to cancel, and you just want to cancel immediately. Get rid of useless and unwanted subscriptions now. Go to rocketmoney.com/NFL Daily. Could save you hundreds per year. Links in the comment section and the description of today's video. It's rocketmoney.com/NFL Daily. Let's go to the number 6 seeded, for now at least, New York Football Giants, fresh off a tie against the Washington Commanders, who are, for now, on the outside looking in of the playoff picture as they hit their bye week. They got the Eagles this week because the Giants' schedule is very challenging down the stretch. Had they won that game against the Commanders, would have been massive for their playoff hopes. The next 2 games, the Commanders game, Week 15, it's not quite win or go home for either team, but the loser's in a really tough spot there. It was a tie. And if you've been subscribed to a while here on Chat Sports, you know I despise ties. I think they're profoundly un-American. Go win the game or have a loser. We don't need ties. This is not soccer. Should there be ties in the NFL? Y for yes, you're wrong, and for no, you're right. Number 7, the Seattle Seahawks. As Kenneth Walker is battling an injury. They got the Panthers this week. They're still in the mix for the NFC West crown. They are behind the Niners right now, of course. If Walker gets healthy, you should be able to beat a not very good Carolina Panthers team. Gets you to 8-5 because of the NFC East. I made the comment last week. They've got to play each other, and one will lose, and then they freaking tie. So maybe they'll tie again, and it'll all even out. Who knows? But for now, Seattle's in the 7th seed in the NFC. The other team to really kind of lock in on here is the Washington Commanders. They're 7-5-1. Again, I hate ties. That's kind of battling for that. What could end up being the 7th seed, maybe the 6th seed, depending on how Seattle ends up faring. The Lions are not out of the race altogether, technically. You can't rule out the Falcons and the Packers at this stage either, but we kind of can. A couple quick notes here on potential elimination scenarios, because those are fun, right? The Rams lose, and they're out. That's pretty fall from grace there. The Cardinals lose, and the Seahawks and Giants win, and they're also out. That's a little bit dicey from that standpoint. Now, we will have you guys covered every single week with NFL playoff picture stuff, some mock drafts, because, hey, elimination teams, some of those seasons are very much over. We've got you guys covered all season and off season long, so make sure you subscribe for free videos every single day right here, youtube.com/@chatsports. Let's go back now to the AFC playoff picture as promised. The Bills, number 1 seed at 9-3. We'll focus in on them. They've won 3 straight games. Things have been a little bit up and down at various points. They played pretty well against the Patriots, I thought, on Thursday Night Football. Not the worst Thursday night game we've had as of late, which is a low bar, I know. They get the Jets this week, a game with some pretty significant playoff wild card implications. The Chiefs, they lose to the Bengals again, and in the calendar year, and this does not happen very often, folks, the Chiefs have lost 3 games to the Bengals in 2022. They lost at the end of the regular season last year, in the playoffs, and then again this year in December. They've lost like 5 games total in 2022. 3 of them to the Bengals. It's kind of wild there. A much easier game this week for KC. It was flexed out of primetime. That's how bad the Broncos are. They're also, by the way, on the verge of being eliminated from the playoff race. The Ravens are number 3. They snuck by the Broncos in what was a pretty ugly affair. They get the Steelers this week, but they might not have Lamar Jackson. He is dealing right now with an ankle injury, or with a knee injury, which I don't think he's going to play this week. We'll see. It would mean Tyler Huntley's in there. You can still beat Pittsburgh, but you're fighting for a home game and that division crown. More on that in a little bit. But first, Tennessee, who's going to win the division. They're 7-5. The Jags aren't that good. The Colts are a dumpster fire, and Houston's the worst of the bunch somehow. The Titans will once again cruise to the AFC South title, but you'll want a playoff win, a little bit more success from that. So they can't quite clinch this week, but they are close. All right, the wild card teams, as things said, again, you're talking about Bengals win a game, all of a sudden they're right back in the mix for the number one seed, right? The Dolphins and the Jets are your three wild card teams. We'll focus in on them here. The Bengals, early in the year, I was scared about them, man. They were not playing well. They offense was bad. They couldn't run the ball out of the gun. They had all kinds of issues. And really the last couple of weeks, they figured things out. You take down the Chiefs. You've won some high-scoring affairs. You dropped a bunch of big points. The Bengals are back. They are getting hot at the right time, and they could take over the AFC North lead as soon as this upcoming week. So who wins the AFC North this year? Browns and Steelers are not contenders. It's B for the Bengals, R for the Ravens. Let me know right now in the comment section. All right, the Dolphins right now, the number 6 seed, after they lose to the Niners, the first loss where Tua played the entire game, who's also battling an ankle injury, by the way, which could deprive us of the Tua versus Herbert bowl game. I'll call it a bowl game because it's funner that way. Against the Chargers, Sunday Night Football. Dolphins are favored on the road. A clear sign they think Tua will be playing, by the way. That'll be a fun game. I think the Twitter drama over Herbert and Tua will be obnoxious, but whatever. Who you got in a game with massive wild card implications? The Chargers right now are on the outside looking in. A loss might mean Brandon Staley's on the hot seat since they could probably get Sean Payton. D for the Dolphins, C for the Chargers. Let me know who you got winning in prime time. Number 7, the New York Football Jets. Mike White almost led the comeback, but also threw a couple interceptions. Not great there. An even tougher matchup this week on the road against the Buffalo Bills. The Jets are going to continue to start Mike White at quarterback, clinging to those playoff hopes. All right, they have a game lead over both the Patriots and the Chargers. Now, the Chargers have got to find ways to win some more football games. The Chargers, of course, played the Raiders this past week, and that was a game they needed to win, and they lost. And now, though, the Raiders, which they don't technically have to win out, but they kind of need to. That was a big win for them. The Raiders and Browns and the Steelers are again going to finish around 500. Classic Pittsburgh. They're still clinging to playoff hopes there. Indy's not really in the mix. Neither is Jacksonville. And as we wrap up, there is a playoff elimination scenario. Denver loses, and they join the Texans as the 2 AFC teams eliminated from the playoff race. They're just taking for the first round pick. Yeah, sorry about that one there, Denver. We'll keep you guys updated on this every single week, so make sure you're subscribed right here on YouTube.